Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lieutenant General Lord Robert Stevenson Smythe Baden-Powell of Gilwell. Although I believe in America you pronounce it Baden-Powell. However you say it is quite a mouthful, which is why my friends simply call me BP. I am known as the founder of Scouting. Before then I was an officer in the British Army, and I rose to worldwide fame for my command of the defense of Mafeking during the Second World War. Mafeking was a small little town in South Africa, which was besieged for 217 days between October of 1899 and May of 1900. For my actions, Queen Victoria promoted me from the rank of colonel to the rank of Major General, skipping the rank of Brigadier General altogether, and at 43 made me the youngest general in about a century and one of the youngest in the history of the British Army. It also made me arguably the most famous man in the world. I wrote my mother about this, and I told her I did not know why God had given me fame, for I did not seek after it, I did not want it, but there must be a higher purpose which I needed to discover. Several years later, I was serving as the Inspector General of the British Cavalry, and I had been invited to come and review the Scottish Boys Brigade. It was there the idea was first presented to me to rewrite a training manual I'd written for the Army entitled Aids to Scouting and come up with a program for boys. I thought I finally understood why God had given me fame, because now I was in a position to help our youth. So I spent about a year studying, researching, and rewriting the program. And before I published it, I decided I wanted to conduct an experiment, make sure the boys actually liked it. So I took a group of young men camping on Brownsea Island off the coast of England. And there I introduced them to the patrol method and scouting. One of the activities was to have each of the boys take a turn standing guard of the camp throughout the night, making sure that no riffraff came wandering in. And then on occasion I would try to wander into the camp, see if I could catch the boys napping. Now, I never caught them napping, but one time they caught me, hanging upside down from a tree, making bird noises. The young man ordered me out of the tree, scolded me for being out of camp past curfew, and then ordered me back to my camp and to remain there until the morning. Brownsea was a smashing success. So I published my book, this time entitled Scouting for Boys, and the movement began. And it spread like wildfire throughout the world until here we are more than 107 years later, and Scouting is still growing strong. Now people have often asked me why. Why take young men out into the wilderness, teach them knots and camping, fire building? Well, I said something nearly a century ago that's as true today as it was back then. I said, our objective in the Scout movement is to give such help as we can in bringing about God's kingdom on earth. You see, knots and camping are merely methods we use to instill the values of Scouting. Methods to teach our young men that our first duty is our duty to God. And we fulfill that duty by serving His children or doing our duty to others. And in order to be useful in all things, we must remember our duty to ourselves and keep ourselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Someone asked me if there was a religious side to the Scouting, and I said no, there's no religious side to it. The whole of it is based on religion. That is the realization and service of God. That is why I appreciate this church so much. For more than a century, they've been partners with Scouting and committed and dedicated to our young men. I actually had a picture of the Seagull Monument from Temple Square hanging on my office wall in London. I heard the story and I acquired the picture to remind me that God continues to work miracles amongst His children. Your president, Thomas S. Monson, who is a fine scouter, once said, "The Aaronic priesthood prepares boys for manhood and the weightier duties of the Melchizedek priesthood. Scouting helps boys walk uprightly, the priesthood path to exaltation." May God bless you for your service, and may your service bless the lives of our youth. Well, I'm sure my wife is wondering where I've run off, so should anyone inquire as to where I've gone, simply remind them of the symbol etched into my headstone in Kenya. It's a circle with a dot in the middle, the trail sign meaning I have gone home. Goodbye and good scouting.